Hello there, welcome to the fourth episode of the Lessons I Must Learn series. I don't know what I'll call this episode, but I just thought, I should just share about this thing because I feel like it's something very necessary, maybe it could be relatable as well. And it concerns our interactions with people and the various forms of relationships we choose to interact with people as. So, that can look at like friendship, it could be romantic relationships, even acquaintances and all these things. And I think two main things I want to share. So first is how I think we should normalize, or it's okay to experience people in seasons, and we don't really have to carry everyone we know for all aspects of our lives. And I think sometimes it's kind of a hard thing to do because you probably envision in a moment that, okay, if this particular person is your friend, you're probably, taking them for life. Like, they'll be there for everything that you're doing, all your milestones. But in some cases, that's not the case. And I think it's perfectly normal. Like, for instance, I'm barely close to people, for instance, who I studied with in primary school. And, some people are actually still friends since they were kids. Like, they are literally childhood best friends till now. And it's perfectly okay if that's not the case. Same as high school. And I guess it also just ties down with change. Because I also had friends in high school who were really close. And you'd think that probably you will take this person for the rest of your life, but I guess we also have to come to a point where you just appreciate whatever season you were able to experience this person, and maybe for that particular time it was very needful. And you see, even as we grow older, I think we grow more into what we like, and especially because maybe for most of us we're no longer as guarded as we were when we were kids, so we explore so much more. And you find that, for instance, if you are in school and stuff like that, the most common thing maybe for you while you were there was probably just learning, or you were probably relating on a certain kind of aspect, so that was your common interest at that particular time. So you see, if there was nothing else connecting you guys together post whatever, post uni, post high school, post whatever, it's like doesn't make sense for you to still have this particular person in your life. And yeah, you change doesn't necessarily mean that you guys have bad blood anymore, but it's just not the same. You grow, you meet more people, you're exposed to more, your interests also change as well. Because it's like, in as much as now, let's say I am able to experience and enjoy certain things with certain people, probably because they also enjoy the same things, that doesn't mean that 10 years from now I will still feel the same towards those things. And if this other person still feels the same towards that, it's perfectly fine. And if that was the only common factor between us, that means that we can no longer really be that interconnected, or our lives don't really mesh or meet that much unless we intentionally find something else we enjoy together. And I guess that's where intentionality comes in, because that's when you're like, okay, maybe the core of this person is really what attracted you to them, and probably whatever common interest you had is probably what was the opportunity for you guys to meet. But overall, you love this person, and you still want them in your life. So that's a whole different thing, and it's up to you to see, is it worth it to put all your efforts towards that. So I think for me, that's a lesson that I'm learning, and it's perfectly okay. Sometimes even, also still, because maybe it's been 5 years or even longer since I probably talked to someone, doesn't mean that now in future we can't even rekindle things. And sometimes you might have known someone for a long time as well, but you never really gelled. But maybe you get an opportunity to spend more time with them, you interact more, you just uncover parts of them you never knew, and you're like, oh wow, this is a great person, you want to be friends with them. That happens, it's perfectly fine. And yeah, so I guess the lesson is learning that it's okay to experience people in seasons, because we also go through seasons. And for, I mean, in as much as it might sound selfish, I don't know if it does, but yeah, sometimes you need people for different seasons, and it is what it is. Like, some people are seasonal as a situation. Some people probably, you, what can I say? Like, those roots grow deeper and deeper during that time. So, in whatever season, you're able to last, and that's okay. And yeah, so in line with that, the second thing is also, how can I phrase this? Yeah, like, people are different. Okay, like, just because someone is your friend and someone acts a certain way towards you doesn't necessarily mean that they're the same person with other people. And I think that's like a very difficult thing to accept sometimes. But I think it's always best for you to accept it as soon as possible. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, but you see, we are all different individuals, and probably my personality or whatever doesn't really gel as well as it does with someone else's. So you might find that there's this particular person, let's say, you want to have a friendship with or whatever form of relationship, and you just can tell there's a difference in how they probably are around you and with someone else. And I mean, this actually even happens. Okay, I think I'll get to that after. Yeah, so yeah, basically that just because you can see someone else, let's say they can go to certain extents for someone else who they're close to, doesn't mean that automatically that will be the case with you and their relationship. And I think that's a lesson to also learn, and it doesn't really, it's not wrong. Yeah, basically it's not wrong. Like, even me with my friends and whatever people in my life, I would probably go to certain extents for some people. Like, for some people I would literally bend my back, backwards, bend over backwards for them, whatever. And does she need this, does she want this, like, we will get it. But for some people, I'm like, okay, I might not treat their needs as urgently as I would someone else's. And I think it's perfectly fine if I'm also that person for someone else who probably isn't treated as urgently, you get. So it's just knowing that, understanding that, and it's perfectly okay. The other thing I also wanted to mention now, in still friendships, like, there are also groups of friends. You probably have a friend circle, and also the dynamics of such groups are also usually very different. And I guess, again, it's also something very normal. You might have a friend group that you probably meet them, you guys meet as a group, yes, so you probably meet occasionally, not very often, but maybe you also meet individuals in that friend circle more than you meet other individuals in the same circle, and that's perfectly okay. And I guess I don't know if it's just when you get older, maybe certain things aren't taken as personally, or probably you understand that it's okay, and you probably do the same with other people as well. Yeah, so such things, navigating the different kinds of relationships, I guess it's good to understand that you can experience people in seasons. The season could be once, it could be multiple times, it could have intervals. Some people could be there like forever, like you meet them, nothing has changed over the years, even as you grow into your different interests, into your different whatever, like, things you enjoy and stuff like that, be it career. Some people even move away from towns and countries, but still they're able to keep that connection, and it's okay. It doesn't have to be the same you can't really fight for everyone or everything. Yeah, so yeah, that's good to understand. Also, people are different. Don't expect just because someone is such a particular type of friend to someone else that they should also be the same to you. And also, it's perfectly fine to be closer with certain people in your friend groups than with others in that same friend group. And basically, I guess it's adulting also, guy. Friendships as an adult are also a whole thing to navigate. It takes a lot more intentionality. And yeah, time is just, you're like, people are doing different things, people are working, people are probably chasing different things, people want to live their lives a certain way, someone wants to pack up and leave, someone wants to settle, someone wants to do this and that. But if you really want to maintain and still have those ties going strong, you definitely have to put a lot of effort. And I mean, if the people are worth it for you, I mean, do it. Like, put that effort, be very intentional about it. And I guess also you get to a point where quality over quantity becomes the better option, just because you're not necessarily able to give as much time as you were able to, because more responsibilities. You now have maybe people you're dividing your time with, could be your employer, maybe this other person's spouse, they have a child, they have other friends, stuff like that. So the quality of the time you spend together becomes now what is paramount, as compared to probably the quantity of time you guys spend together. And I guess it's a pretty interesting space to be in. Like, adulthood is it's very complex. Like, it's hard, sometimes it's beautiful, sometimes it's complicated, it's confusing, it's exhausting, it's just a lot. Like, you don't even know how you wake up. Like, tomorrow you wake up, you just feel like, oh my goodness, do I have to do this? Sometimes you wake up, you're like, oh wow, like, I really love where I am or what I'm doing. It's just a whole lot of stuff. But I guess bottom line is, enjoy your life, the connections you have. Don't be so stuck up on probably ties you think you've lost. And yeah, I guess that's all I have to say for this episode. I don't know if you guys relate. And I mean, also, don't be asking people questions about others. Like, for instance, oh my goodness, like, you and so are no longer friends. Mind your business. Like, you're too grown to mind other people's business. Yeah. And yeah, with that, see you in the next one. Like this video, share, comment, yeah, and subscribe if you haven't already. Bye bye.